Hi there, this is Ash of Crash Productions. Today I'll be looking at some short film conventions using my favourite short film Right Place and looking at some other short films including 2am, Love Field, Amy's Torch and Dirty Laundry. I should have Right Place embedded on my blog, so if you want to press play right about now, I'll commentate on it from now. So there's very little need to establish character. We can guess from this little opening that our protagonist has OCD or some sort of so yeah, very little dialogue used, and none at all so far, just the popping of his neck. And short films can just position quite well, as has done here, where he's dressed in his business suit and you might think, oh, he's a businessman, he's probably going to work in the city or a big stock exchange or something similar. However, he is actually a shop worker, which from how he was dressed going to work, you probably wouldn't think so. We have our first exchange between characters here, and there's still no dialogue, which is quite common in a lot of short films. 2am, there's very little dialogue. Love Field, there's not much dialogue at all, and the opening of the film has no dialogue at all in, just a lot of sound, as is used quite well here, where the youths come in and they start wrecking up his store, and instead of speaking or conveying his anger through words, music is used, and through the music used we can understand that he's frustrated and a bit angry. So we know very little about this character except that he does have OCD, and that's all that's needed to be established in characters. We don't really have enough time to establish what they like, what their favourite colour is, what their favourite this, that and the other is, so it is pretty much bare bones, as is the plot. The plots are very simple in structure. 2am is a simple plot structure. Love Field and Dirty Laundry and even Amy's Torch, they're all very simple plots, maybe complicated by juxtaposition or switching genre conventions on their head. A lot of close-up shots are used here, very few long shots. The close-up shots help convey emotions without the use of dialogue. And here, this could be a bit of a juxtaposition, I suppose. My friend said there was something not quite right about it, however he's just pulling up the girl's socks due to his severe OCD, he wants them even. And again we have no dialogue, 3 minutes and 30 in, we just have anger, loud aggressive music to convey the shop owner's emotions, and then he's shut down. And here we have our first piece of dialogue, 3 minutes 45 seconds in. Love Field is very similar in that it goes through the majority of its runtime without dialogue, and music is key to establishing what's happening or what we're supposed to think is happening, not necessarily actually happening, because they juxtapose at the end with how the short film plays out, really. Here we find his right place. There's no twist ending here like there is in Love Field. Short films, though, they're often a place to experiment, which I feel this does very well. I think 2 AM also quite a good experiment, and Dirty Laundry, which is based on the Marvel character Punisher. His first few films didn't go down very well, and they didn't make much money, but the short film was very well received by fans, and it's a lot easier to fund that because it's not as expensive as a normal film, and you can be a lot more experimental, and you can just try things that you wouldn't necessarily be able to try within the boundaries of a normal film, because Dirty Laundry is quite a violent short film, but again the plot is very simplistic. There's not a lot to it, because even though that has 10 minutes, there's not enough time to establish a plot like you would in a film. A complex film plot like Inception has 2.5 hours to explain and conclude, whereas we only have 10 minutes usually is the maximum, is usually as long as short films are. Occasionally you get 15-minute ones, but it's still not enough to have very complex plots. They do need to be toned down a little bit so that they're simplistic enough to explain and get done within the time allowed. So that's the film's ended. The short film ended. I think it's a very interesting short film. The use of dialogue is there's very little. 2 AM, there's only a couple lines. Love Field, only a couple of lines. Amy's Torch, however, and Dirty Laundry do have quite a lot of dialogue, especially Amy's Torch, which is only about 2 minutes long. But they a lot of them use close-up shots to convey emotions, as opposed to long shots which would be seen in feature films. That's all the conventions I've got today. Thanks for watching and listening, and I hope you enjoyed.